Hello, everybody. This is going to be the first of several videos that we've created here to help us teach this next big topic in our course. We're going to be looking at climate, and at the very beginning of page 7 of your textbook study notes, TBSN, the very first question that's asked is, what is the difference between weather and climate? So we're going to use this PowerPoint to explore that briefly and get ready to more deeply explore what are the things that control climate or influence it around the world. So let's move on here. If you do look at the back of the textbook, you're going to do a quick look up for the definition of weather, and it's going to give you a fairly fancy sounding definition here, the short-term conditions of the atmosphere. What that basically means is what you see when you look out your window. So whether it's raining or if it's cloudy or windy, these are elements of weather that are constantly changing and change in very short-term basis. Day to day, things are changing. Hour to hour, things are changing sometimes. So that's weather. When we look at climate, what we're able to start doing is taking the data that we've collected over periods of time and creating long-term averages of some of those conditions of the atmosphere. So the two easiest ones that we can average out over a long period of time are things like temperature and precipitation. So we can start to look at what the temperature was on every day going back for years and years and years, and then start to develop an idea of what the average temperature is at that time of year, and what in some sense is the expected temperature at different times of the year. So for example, we could say that Winnipeg is most likely going to have hot summers and quite cold winters, whereas Vancouver is relatively mild all year round. It doesn't get too cold in the winter, but it never really gets too hot, or very seldom does it get very hot in the summer either. And we're going to learn why that happens in the coming days. If you take a look down here at this image at the bottom of the slide, what you're seeing actually is over the course of a year how temperatures change on a global basis. So the darker blues are the cold and the oranges and reds are the warm. And so again, what you may notice here, if you look at it long enough and start to have a look at trends, are things like the northern half of the world goes through a fairly significant change in temperature over the course of a year. You know, we're looking at in the summer, the oranges and yellows are quite high up, and now in the winter, it's very blue and purple, very cold. And that trend continues year after year, over and over again. Down here in the equatorial region of the world, you're noticing very little difference in temperature, although it does get hotter in the summer. Especially here in the little bit above the equator in the northern part. And here it's getting warmer in what we would consider our winter, but down there it's summer. So again, we're going to be looking at the reasons for these things over the coming days. Oops, oh dear, clicked the wrong button. Here is another image. This one shows the differences in precipitation really over the period of a year. And again, what you're seeing here in this case is snow cover changes in the world. And this one, for example, again is showing, in our winter time, the northern hemisphere of the world is covered in a lot of snow. And as the summer comes, a lot of that snow is melting, and you'll see the snow line retreating up north. One other thing that I've taken note of here after seeing this over and over again over the years is there are parts of the world down here along the Andes Mountains and here in the Himalayas for sure where there is snow year round. And so here what you're seeing is evidence that places that are really high in elevation, they maintain a temperature that allows snow to exist all year long. And this again is another example of a trend in climate that we're going to be looking at over the next few days. What did we do now? Okay, so where we're going now is to start to talk a little bit more about these what are called climate controls. And basically what's going to happen now, again, using our textbook study notes as our sort of recipe or guideline here, we're moving into question 22 on our textbook study notes. So in general, we're going to find out in the coming days there are several factors that influence the climate around the world. We're going to focus on ones that hold a huge amount of influence over whether there's precipitation or not, or what the differences or changes in temperatures are in a particular place. And as mentioned, we're going to create several videos, and we're going to get you to use a set of notes organizers that are going to explore these, in this case, 5 major climate controls. So you should already have a notes organizer booklet in front of you as you're looking at this video, and the cover page looks like this, and some of the information that I'm going to be sharing in the next minute or so is what's going to get put down onto this page. Okay, so first of all, your cover page does talk about 2 main components of weather and climate, and those are temperature and precipitation. So those will get written up in the top left-hand corner of your organizer sheet. There are some other components of weather and climate. Wind, things like wind, cloud cover, air pressure, humidity. You often hear these things being described on a weather broadcast. If you're listening to the radio and it's talking about the weather forecast, it'll talk about wind speed and direction and whether it's cloudy or not. And sometimes you'll get air pressure and humidity also being talked about. The 2 that we are going to focus our attention on in the coming days are temperature and precipitation. Okay, and really the main reason is that these 2 items dictate what can grow in a particular region of the world. So they are very important to being able to grow food and being able to survive in many cases. So when we look at climate controls in the coming days, we're going to be looking at climate controls that affect temperature and precipitation. And some of them mostly work on this, some of them mostly work on this one, and we're going to be creating a set of notes to go along with each of these. The 5 climate controls we will be exploring are latitude, large bodies of water and land, ocean currents, elevation, and mountain barriers. And these should be getting written into the 5 petals of the flower that's at the bottom of your notes organizer page. So your cover page should end up looking like this. And I'm going to leave you now with a chance to finish off your notes organizer page, cover page, and you can go to our website and find the first tutorial, which is going to focus on latitude, and we'll pick up from where we left off.